Hey, I thought we were getting together early and hanging out and having coffee and visiting. Well, you know what? Sometimes the technology gremlins get in the mix, and sometimes it doesn't go as you planned. But you know what? It's going to happen next week. An amazing chat. Until that time, you guys to Cloud Talk. Another amazing episode. Welcome. All right, well, that was a random little bit of music and no graphic, but maybe it worked on your side. I just saw a black screen. Well, everyone, welcome to Cloud Talk Live. I'm so glad that you are here. As you know, my name is Jeff DeVerter. I'm the Chief Technology Evangelist here at Rackspace, and I am looking for all the right buttons. There we are. Now they're starting to work. Sometimes you just have to be a little bit more flexible with your morning, and that's the way today is going to be. So I'm so glad that you are here. I have an amazing guest. I can't wait for you to meet her. But in the meantime, I'd love for you to introduce yourself. I'd love for you to tell us who you are. I'd love for you to tell us where you are. You know the routine. We do the same thing every single week because you are part of this conversation. It's not just where I get in and we have a little chat about things and I bring up a guest and the guest and I get to visit, but it's all about us having a chat together. So as you get to know Najma a little bit later, I'd love for you to ask her questions or encourage her in her career. But I'd love for you to introduce yourself. And Sean is first out of the gate. And it is a nice, cool San Antonio. It's not as cool as last week, was it, Sean? It was real cool last week. Well, if you guys want to get a hold of us, you can send an email over to solve@rackspace.com. But I'd even encourage you more. I'd love for you to, if we're not already buddies, best buddies over on the LinkedIn, well, go find me on LinkedIn. I'm just J DeVerter, first initial, last name. And let's connect over there as well. Let's have this conversation throughout the week. That would be super fun. So excited to see Susan here as well. Welcome back, Susan. Susan, of all the people I need to get together and have a cup of coffee with, I think it's you, because it's been way too long. What years was it that we worked at USAA together? That was a long time ago. Well, everyone, this is going to be a really interesting conversation today. It's Women in Tech Tuesday, first Tuesday of the month, and you're going to be delighted to get to meet my wonderful guest. But before we get into all of that, I'd like to remind you that the audio from these, as well as unique content, shows up over in the podcast. That podcast can be found anywhere where the podcasts are found, over in Apple Music, Google Play, Spotify. We got a big following over on Spotify, so go check that out. And I'm even finishing doing the final touches on the audio from the summit we had, the cybersecurity summit just a few weeks ago, will show up inside of there as well. But you're not going to get it if you're not subscribed. So everybody, go make sure you subscribe to those. All right, and I've mentioned that I've got a great guest coming in, and here she is. Her name is Najma Jabeen. Now, Najma is an employee here at Rackspace. She is leads a team over in our software development team. She is in India, and she has a fascinating career, and I'm really excited for you to get to know her. Now, stick around. We're going to have maybe a little chat about AI as we go through this, but I've got some thoughts about that towards the end. But in the meantime, why don't we go ahead and bring Najma up onto the screen, Daniel. Najma, welcome. I'm so glad that you're here today.
Hi Jeff. Hi everyone.
So glad that you're here. In fact, everyone, did you know that, of course, today's a Tuesday. Tuesdays are days that we generally work, but it's a special day for Najma. It's her birthday. So what a birthday present to get to share it with the whole world. So everybody make sure that you say happy birthday to Najma. Najma, you're not in the U.S. with us here, are you? You're far, far away.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm from Bangalore, India. And yeah, what else?
Well, so far away. Thank you for joining us today. A question I always ask is, how's the weather where you are today? Because it's not where we are in Texas.
It's raining here and it's a nice weather today.
Oh, I am envious of your rain. We here in Texas are in a nasty pickle of a drought, but a little rain here and there. Ooh, got some beeping sounds coming in. All right. So, look, there's some happy birthdays coming in. Isn't that great? So, Najma, you've been with us here at Rackspace for a little while, but why don't we, before we talk about all the amazing things that you're working on now, why don't we go back in your career a little bit because it'll help us give a little context. So let's start with school. Where did you go to university?
Yeah, so I did my Bachelor's of Engineering SJC College in Mysore, which is nearby to Bangalore, which is my native as well. And it belongs to Visvesvaraya Technology University. And yeah, that's I'm from Mysore. Um, I mean, I studied and brought up in Mysore, but I'm working since 13 years now. I'm working in Bangalore.
13 years in IT. That's fantastic. Now, coming out of school, what was some of those first IT jobs that you had? It seems that everybody's first few jobs were maybe not as exciting as they'd hoped they might be, or where they became later on. But what was your first role in IT?
I started my career as software developer, and I was a Windows application developer in C Sharp, and then moved to web application development. I have been working into various technologies like C Sharp, Python, Golang, and many other like frameworks, databases, and all that. Yeah, slightly then moved to a lead role and then team lead, and now as a manager.
Now you're a manager. So, but you're still doing a little bit of coding. You're still got your hands in the gears, if it as it were.
Yes, I do. I do the dev work as well along with the team. I take up stories and all that work. Yes.
Now, what was you go to school to learn the engineering, you learn software development. Was it what you expected when you got out into the quote unquote real world of software development from what you came to expect when you were coming out of university?
Uh, My university was good, as in my college was really good. They really thought us like what it's going to be. But yeah, but whatever it is, still my experience was totally different when I started working. But main thing I got was a good mentor, and I'm blessed that I got such a good mentor, starting with Pavan, and then I got many other mentors in my life, many in Rackspace like Casey, Roger, Passam, and then I got Nirmal. I got to work with Nirmal, and I'm learning a lot from them. Yeah, that's the main thing in
Mentorship
my life.
is really important, and I love that you're connected with Nirmal. He's just such a nice guy. He's one of the nicest people I know at Rackspace, but also one of the smartest, and that's a fine combination in people that you could choose to be a mentor. And what are some of the things that we have our day-to-day jobs. There's university, there's online training, but what does a mentor bring to you and to your day? How does a mentor help you through the challenges that you experience?
My mentor used to sit just next to me in my first company, and he was very sweet. And I used to just ask questions. I am like this from before. Like I do ask questions, whatever doubts I have. I don't hesitate to ask questions. So he used to okay, before you ask next question, let me tell you all these details as well. And he used to tell me the details, and I used to grab all those. And I was good in databases, and I used to even suggest that he used to and that's how I got a good bonding with him. And then I started. I didn't do training actually. There was 3 months of training for me in the first job, but I didn't went through it. And first 2 weeks they were good with me, and they started me to work on a project.
That's
I didn't go
fantastic. Threw you right into the hard stuff.
yes.
I'm so glad that and it speaks to how you've advanced in your career, but just too many people will sit quietly and be frustrated or be confused or maybe even make decisions that are ill-informed because they don't do the simple thing of asking the question even of the person who's sitting right there next to you. So what good for you. So then you make your way over to Rackspace. What were some of those first roles that you had once you got to Rackspace?
I started my journey into Rackspace around 9 years back, and I started as a software developer too. I mean, kind of senior, but not senior most. And I worked on many of the application like ticketing, then portal, and then to this generative AI now. But what roles I started with was all into software development, and as a developer, I learned a lot in Rackspace. That's the most important thing I got from here. The quality of work was given importance here. So my code was not getting merged. Initially, I was like, why is it like that? I'm putting so much effort, and my PRs are so big. Why are they not letting me? They used to ask me breakdown and put the proper code in proper place and the proper syntax and proper functions to use. All that made me learn a lot, and yes, I still wanted to continue because they were great. Learnings from Rackspace I got. So I got all the interesting projects I wanted to work on. It was not like something was given to me and I'm working on that. I was always given the freedom to choose. So those are the days I really
You
liked.
chose the good ones.
Yes, I
So,
always choose what I want to.
so you've now found yourself where you're working on a lot of our AI projects and our data projects. How did you find your way from just, I'll call it, forgive me, but generic, code development down specifically into data and artificial intelligence?
I was working in SDP team. That team, I mean, I was leading a part of SDP team that works on core and on-core ticketing applications and all that. Then Srini Kaushik, our CTO, President, Technology and Sustainability, introduced FAIR to introduced FAIR in Rackspace, and then his idea of adding India team into all the serious project made me start my journey into AI. With ICE application, I started as a backend developer with Ajay, my ex-manager. He was leading this backend team, and then Nirmal and Justin, my manager, recognized my work and they made me a leader for the team who works for fair projects from India.
I love that. So not everybody in the world knows all of our acronyms, so I'll define a few of those. So Najma's talking about FAIR, which is the Foundry for AI at Rackspace. That is the process and the tooling and the services that we have. Oh, look, what popped up there? That we have all around helping companies adopt AI as responsible AI as part of their organizational and enterprise strategy. Now, also mentioned in there was one of the tools that we built called ICE, or the Intelligent CoPilot for the Enterprise. Now, ICE is as the name sort of implies when it's all spelled out, the Intelligent CoPilot for the enterprise is a way to let AI kind of sit next to the employee and be able to help them be more efficient, to be less error prone. Not that we're all error prone, but you know what? Without the right information, you can't make the right decision. So how do we get the right information to people? So on the ICE project, Najma, what was your interaction in helping the team with that?
I started on ICE, which you said, Intelligent Coworker for Enterprise, was all about bringing up that application on GCP. And I started there configuring few of the services, and then I was given authentication model. I started with how do we authenticate, how do we have this application only accessed in VPN, and what all is available, what is not compared to what we have in other applications. So I was deep diving into that and brought up a good authentication model, and yeah, Nirmal and Justin both approved it. And there I started with other backend code and then into the data modeling and indexing and all that part. Yeah, so most of the backend part.
Yeah, we read the news headlines and we play with Chat GPT and we look at these as interesting tooling. But the reality is that fun, I'll call it fuzzy use case that we get to experiment with is there's so many details behind the scenes, and you said just several of them. The first being authentication. How do, in a private instance of an AI tool set, do you ensure that the people who are using that tool are the people who should be? Because if we have this tool that's going to help our employees be better at what we do, we're going to have access to information that rightly so, maybe the rest of the world shouldn't have access to. So how do we make sure that only the right people are in there, and maybe in some cases curating content based on who the person actually is. So that's a big part of the model. And then you also mentioned getting into the data curation. Maybe you can talk just for a second about how it's not just about bringing, any old data together, but the right data together in the right context.
Yes. Uh, Mostly prompt engineering. I would say that anybody who even doesn't even know, like um, data science, who's not data scientist, a software engineer, can also uh, mm, learn prompt engineering, which is all about how do we interact to AI, search and bots. And few of the prompt engineering is about the context. How do we set the context? What the application should return, the right response it has to return, the better how do a user get a better response in the documents, the pages, or whatever we have indexed it. So
Yeah.
out of it, if the user has to get the answers or search or what results, how do you do that is all about prompt engineering.
So I used the tool actually to solve a problem. I don't think I've told anybody this story yet, but I got a question in asking about. Actually, it was We have a press release that came out a while back about Rackspace's interaction and what we're doing with NVIDIA, the company. We have a partnership there, and so I went asking some questions of people, and those people said, "Hey, talk to that person, talk to that person, talk to that person." It was the old corporate not getting an answer speak, and so we were in where there's this weekly stand up for the whole team, and I got access to the tool. I went into the tool and I asked the question, plain English, simple prompt, got all the answers I needed. So the tool served quite well.
Mhm.
Hey, so
That's about AI.
this is a constantly evolving and moving field. So I think I know a bit of the answer to this based on what you've already said. But I'd be remiss if I didn't ask, how do you stay sharp? How do you continue to learn on a day by day basis, even on special days like today when it's your birthday?
Yeah, yeah. From the time I've started working on generative AI, I'm not a data scientist. I'm just a software developer who was working on web application development. So it was not difficult for me to start with this, as the technology has advanced with pre-trained models, code generation tools, libraries like LangChain and all that. I didn't had any difficulties, but it is all about learning the concepts, the core concepts of AI. If you know that and you know how to put what and where to use, that's all about it. Now. To work on AI, you don't have to be a data scientist, I say.
Isn't that
That,
amazing? There's so much in IT that people can have really significant and successful roles where you don't necessarily have to have that traditional 4-year degree. Now, a 4-year degree is going to fill in a lot of the gaps in knowledge and way you learn, and there's so much more that you learn in those environments. But as far as having the tool set to do the job, somebody who is intelligent and is an analytical thinker and a problem solver can take some classes and in a few months, 6 months or so, be ready to start tackling some real world problems.
yes, it's all about how you put your ideas and where, and it's all about yeah, learning things and how the technology grows. You can't just keep using the models that don't give you good results, like multi-query models which are available right now. So you have to advance with the technology coming in, and mostly into this AI, generative AI. A lot more is coming in, so every time you have to keep yourself updated. And it was like always used to say us like yeah, there is a lot of things coming in, so we have to go fast and move fast and get all that things into our page.
So, as somebody
Yeah.
who's on the forefront of all of this technology, what excites you about the possibility of what AI brings to the enterprise?
It's a lot. It should be bringing a lot, because AI has a good future. What I see, it's going to be embedded in all the applications we use, and it's going to be a critical part of our life. Over the next 2 3 years, it will be part of everything we use in our life. Most of the application, like Netflix brings a self-driving car, shipments and whatnot, like all the websites and everything. So if it is going to be integrated in all these things, of course, this is where Rackspace is already envisioning the the future of all this, and building all the applications for enterprise level. So that's a good direction. So yeah, it should be.
Yeah, I was thinking about this morning actually, because I spend a lot of time, just reading what's the news, what are the announcements, what's happening. I'm on a bunch of newsletters that come in on a day-to-day basis, and the thing that I am most impressed about, I mean, there's some crazy, I'll call it rocket science type stuff that's happening in and around AI, but their companies are making it so tangible to to utilize it as an individual on a day-to-day basis. And I think a great example of that is what Google and Microsoft are doing with their Duet or their CoPilot offerings, respectively, to each one. And that is just making it easier for an information worker, somebody who sits in front of a computer and works with information, to do the things that they need to do on a day-to-day basis. How do I become a better writer? How do my PowerPoints look better? I've seen some amazing examples of what Copilot will do inside of a Teams meeting in transcribing, creating notes, creating a list of deliverables. If it's a decision that's going on or a discussion that's happening, then it'll create a pros and cons list of all the things that happen. You really can, through prompt engineering and asking the right questions, get some amazing information out just on the things that we think that we do on a day-to-day basis, which is why I was excited. One of the reasons excited to have this conversation today, Najma, and that's because AI is not just for the data scientist. You've already made that clear. You don't have to be a data scientist. You can be, and you said just a developer, but I'm going to say a developer, not just a developer, and because that's a super powerful thing. But the lone individual, whether their company is doing a lot of work in the space or not, should be looking for how to utilize AI on a day-to-day basis. How are they, for instance, writing better? I mean, I've been using Grammarly for years, and now it's not just doing spell checking stuff, but it really is helping me write better. It's creating prompts, it's doing all kinds of amazing things. What are some encouragement that you might have for somebody who has yet to delve into using AI on a day-to-day basis? What might you say to encourage them of the benefits they might see in utilizing AI?
What encouragement I would say, like until you start using it, you will never know what the benefit is. So I would always I would ask them to start using it and look into all the benefits of course in all the areas. Whether you don't have to rely on Google search right now. You have a lot more bots coming in which will give you, as you said, better points, better conversation, and all that. So there are a lot of things coming in, the use cases we have developed in a field, like interview co and we have our action-based bots and semantic search and all that, which we have is also like amazing, doing amazing job. So if you don't use it, it's going to be like taking a lot of time of yours. So but I guess as you said, you have to keep reading on what's coming in on AI and keep using. You'll save your time,
Yeah.
of course.
Uh, I've said this example once or twice, but recently my wife and I traveled from San Antonio up to Boston, and we were there because I had work for the first part of the week, and then I took vacation time for the Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, and we needed to come up with what are we going to do, and so we had a list of things that we had created over a couple of weeks, but we're on the flight, literally on the flight, flying up there. I open up my iPad, just on an iPad, bring up ChatGPT, and I said, because this is now Monday morning of the week, we're on the way to the trip. And I said, on Thursday and Friday, I'll be with my wife. We have 2 days. We want to tour around Boston and do some amazing things. We'd like most of it to be walking if possible. My wife is also gluten-free and dairy-free, so also create a meal plan for the different places we can go for that. And it just started spitting it out. And I tell you, we probably did 75% of the things that it said we should do, because it was a great itinerary that it created. Even some very simple things like that to get in and play around with. And my wife, who's very technical, a technology skeptic, I would call her, was looking at it going, can you send me a list of what that said? I want to look some of that up. That looks like fun. So I have one more question for you now. I actually have two questions for you, Najma. The first one is, you're obviously very brilliant and very intelligent, and you've been at Rackspace for 9 years. Why do you stay? Why are you still here? What challenges haven't you solved yet?
Ah, that's interesting. Actually, that's my favorite. So yeah, I started, as I said before, I started my career after 1 month of my marriage in Rackspace, and now I have two kids, and it's been 9 years. So initially, I started as a contractor and then into full time in Rackspace. And what makes me stay here is the important thing that is like everybody wants is good work-life balance. So Rackspace has always offered me flexible work arrangements, which not just made me a good employee but a good mother as well,
Hmm.
a good wife, good wife who takes care of all that. And yeah, and other thing is that I love the most in my job being in Rackspace is that I have always got an opportunity to work on challenging and innovative projects. I got a freedom to choose what interests me to work. So I was never forced to work on any project which I don't like. So I have always asked my manager. When I was in US for in 2018, I was working on a project that I was working for around 2 years, and I was like, I'm done. It's on maintenance. I don't want to work anymore. I went and worked on to my manager. At that time, it was Celeste, and I told her that yeah, I am interested in starting up the portal work, which is going to be consolidated portal. Actually, it was like different portals in Rackspace. Then I walked her and told my interest was about working on that new application that is coming on. She said it is Golang. You have been working on Python. I said, yeah, I have been working on different languages. I can learn it, and it's not different than Python, so I can surely do it. And then, yeah, she got me into that, and I worked there. And many started from India on that. So yeah, that kind of thing made me still stay. I've worked on like many applications there, Rackspace portal, ticketing, and now generative AI. And now also like when I feel I want to work on I was given a option to work there, and even Rita, whatever I convince people and I get into what I want to work. So yeah, that actually it's like it feels like home working with
I love that. I
Rackspace.
love that you get to do the projects that are challenging and that are interesting. I love that you have flexibility to do the things that you want to do. But more than that,
Yeah.
I love that it feels like home and that it allows you to be a whole person with your family, with your kids, with your husband, and also challenge you intellectually and get you great, hard challenging projects. So thank you so much for being here today. Thank you for being a part of the program. One last question for you though is what words of advice would you have for a we get this question a lot. I'll get comments saying I'm going to show this episode to my teenage daughter who is still trying to figure out what she wants to do and doesn't know if she can do this. What encouragement might you have for somebody in that position, a young woman, young lady who is trying to figure out what to do, and could she actually do what you do?
Think I mean, just you have to think that you are unique. Everybody is unique, right? So don't let anybody say what you can or what you cannot do. If you want to do it, put your mind and soul and go for it. And of course, as I said, find a good mentor along your way. It helps a lot. In turn, you have to share your knowledge and become one. That's my advice.
Najma, that's fantastic and a great note to go out on. Thank you for being here today and happy birthday. Thanks for doing this on your special day. And I hope you have a great rest of your day. Thanks for being here. All right, everyone.
Yeah, thanks.
I hope you enjoyed our episode here today. I love getting to visit with these brilliant women who we have the great opportunity to work with here at Rackspace. Najma, of course, being yet another one of them. Next week, I can't even believe we're going to have this episode. Let's see. So today is the 7th. That means next week's the 14th. That means it is the Road to Reinvent episode. Can you believe it's almost time for Reinvent? It is. It really is. So we've got we got Rackers who can be part of the show. I've got AWS folks who are going to be part of the show. And we're going to talk about how to get ready for the biggest, greatest show on earth. And that is AWS reInvent. 60,000 of our closest friends all in one very calm and relaxed place known as Las Vegas. But until then, folks, I will see you next week. Maybe we'll even start early with the thing I threatened today. So, pay attention. I will post. We're not already buddies on LinkedIn. I would love for you to friend me out there and we'll connect. So until next week, everyone, my name is Jeff DeVerter, Chief Technology Evangelist for us here at Rackspace Technology. Have an amazing rest of your day, and I'll see you next week.